following up on that, some people I've spoken to have the opinion that they're not learning anything that important in primary school. It's okay. It's later on in high school you have to worry about attendance. But what would you have to say to those
Sure.
parents?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'll start with that one because you get the basics in primary. You learn how to read, write, and mathematics. It's where you learn to access the curriculum. So you get to high school, you can't do it. It's like me going to go and be a doctor without having done any pre-courses and then going, I'll just go straight into medical school.
That's a very good example.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
I've got to have, and that's why you go to university, do your first year pre-med, and if you pass that, you go on. So you've got to go and do the pre-part, the primary part, where you learn the skill.
Absolutely. I would second that and say that the primary part, those younger years that sometimes get overlooked and people say, a day here and there doesn't matter. Those are the most foundational times for a child to be in school because it sets the basis for everything. And it's not only the learning, it's those social-emotional soft skills as well, right? Like how do you interact with kids? How do you interact with teacher? How do you interact with all these folks in this space where it's dynamic and fluid? And that's what you learn at a young age. And if you miss out on that young and then you go into intermediate or secondary school, you don't have those basics. And then that social piece is that much bigger and you're maybe not in a situation where you can handle it as well because you don't have that background and those foundational skills. So the numbers, if you look at regular attendance, 90%. 90% sounds good, right? 90% on a test, an A. But 90% attendance leads to an entire month of school missed per year. That's massive. So if you think about what Graham was saying in the beginning and all those little things you're going to miss day to day in class and it's frequent, that's when you start seeing the issues and that's when you start seeing the gaps in learning. And that's really hard to come back from.
And it sets you up for, you can't do that when you're working. You can't take a month off work for no reason.
Or every Friday,
And I think sometimes it goes back to, educating parents around attendance from that primary age when they are, initially starting school, how important attendance actually is at school. Because if you start missing bits and pieces here, there, and everywhere, then it's like by the time they get to intermediate or high school, it becomes a pattern. That pattern is just following them right through, and it'll probably follow them through to their job. So I think it's, it goes back as well to educating parents.
I think a key word here was foundation that you used. And the building we're in now, the foundation is done and you don't see that, but the building doesn't stand up without it. And it's the primary school that gives you the foundation to do high school, go on to be the doctor or plumber or whatever you want to go on to be. But without that foundation, the part you don't see. And I think that's the thing that with primary school, because it's the foundation, people think, it's not important. But this building, without the foundation,
Thanks for answering that so well.
I think Christchurch is a good example where pre-earthquake, the foundation wasn't a good example of what we did. And now we realise we need to make sure the foundation's proper.
Yeah,